Hello and welcome to Dialogue. I'm Yang Rui, coming to you from the World Economic Forum in Tianjin. Internet Plus has become a hot topic during the past year. How has the industry's integration with the Internet contributed to the Chinese economic transition? Behind the industry prosperity, what are the opportunities and challenges for Internet companies? What is the next major crossroads for the Internet? And is China ready to embrace the new wave of technology such as artificial intelligence and driverless cars? To discuss these issues and more, I'm very happy to be joined here by Mr. Zhang Yaqin, President of Baidu. But before we get started, let's look at this.
Dr. Zhang Yaqin, currently president of the Chinese online search giant Baidu, has long been an object of fascination for news media. He was one of the youngest college students in his generation, joining the genius class of China University of Technology at the age of 12. And at the age of 31, he became a fellow of the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, making him the youngest again to gain the title in the last 100 years of the institute. Altogether, he has published more than 500 academic papers for leading international conferences and journals, and has been granted over 50 US patents in internet and telecommunication-related areas. Many of the technologies he and his team developed have become the basis for industry standards. From 1999 to 2014, Dr. Zhang Yaqin devoted his talents and enthusiasm to Microsoft Corporation. As an integral part of the company's senior management, Zhang was responsible for driving the company's overall research and development efforts in the Asia-Pacific region. In 2008, his outstanding career won him a chance to become a torchbearer in the Beijing Olympics. In 2014, Zhang left Microsoft to join China's search provider Baidu Inc. The decision, in his words, followed his heart and answered a new calling. As domestic and international technology companies join forces to take advantage of the Internet Plus initiative, Zhang is also quite confident about Baidu's future, which is now casting eyes over the automobile industry and the first real estate Internet tie-up in China.
Welcome to Dialogue, Mr. Zhang.
Nice to be here.
Since the concept of Internet Plus has been written into the government work report by Premier Li Keqiang, I'd like to know how you evaluate the important role that Internet plays in our general economy.
Well, obviously this is a long journey, right? The whole notion of using Internet technology to transform the traditional industry is certainly a great vision, and it's something that China has put as a national priority. So for companies like Baidu, we want to make sure the data we have, the platform we have, the technology we provide, are able to support the whole integration of the traditional industry. For example, if you look at there are two areas. One is in the online to offline connectivity, using internet as the gateway, for example, auto cars, to take taxis, get to book your movie tickets or your trips, things of this nature. That's already happening. It's profoundly changing how the society actually works. In other aspects, things like manufacturing, education, healthcare, finance, logistics, those things could take a long time. But I have seen a lot of progress made in the last 2 years. And actually for companies like Baidu, we beef up our investment in those areas. For example, finance. It is natural for internet companies with a lot of data, a lot of technology to be part of this whole transformation.
It's been less than 2 years since you've been invited by Robin to be president of Baidu. How's your general feeling about the opportunities and challenges that Baidu is facing?
It is exciting and it's challenging in both ways. It's exciting because Baidu is the largest search engine, and we have some just great technologies in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and cloud computing. Those things are really changing how we use products, how we provide the service. If you look at things like voice search, machine translation, and more precision, high precision mapping, and also future technologies like autonomous driving. Those are super exciting. On the other hand, there are challenges. Baidu is becoming a big company now. there are a lot more expectation from our users. So we have to continue to do better, to improve, to meet this expectation. So that is challenging. There are times we make mistakes. There are times the search results are not as trustworthy as we would hope. So there's a lot of still a distance between our capability, the information we provide, the service we provide, and the user expectation.
Given the size and influence of Baidu in the Chinese market, you definitely have some critics who keep a close eye on every and each move of Baidu in these years. And one of the things that the overseas critics are most concerned is, of course, the lack of competitions given the retreat of Google from the Chinese market. Therefore, you face less competitions and enjoy the preferential policies by the central government of Beijing. So what do you make of their concerns? Is it true that you have a sense of complacency in this context?
Well, first of all, let me say there's a lot of competition in China, right, in the search market. And if you look at in US or other parts of the world, you probably have one or two search engines. There's Google in US. There's Bing. In other markets, it's maybe two or maybe three. But in China, in fact, there's Bing. Right? There's 360. There's ones from Tencent, Sogo, and from Alibaba.
But they are no match, seriously.
And
no match
there's of course, yeah. But so there is the competition. The reason why Baidu enjoys a dominant position is because thanks for the user support, because we offer what users need. But there is competition. And also, let me say this: if even Google were here, right, I'm confident we have a better, more relevant technology and service. But having said that, certainly we need to strive. We need to make our technologies and service better. I mentioned that there's a lot of criticism from users, and our user experience right now, has a lot of issues. And there might be too many commercials. There are things.
For example, the paid listing. What do you make of the storm concerning debates about this part of your business?
Right. The whole thing of advertising or promotion. This whole business model is common. Everybody uses the same model. And actually, it's a good model, good business model. Google uses it, Microsoft uses it, and all the Chinese companies use it as well. So there's it's not an issue of the technology or the business model. The issue, of course, is we want to make sure our information, the search results, the companies we work with or the hospital we work with, are trustworthy and have the right credibility or credit. And we continue to work with the government, or work with or use our technology to refine that. And there's a lot of we made a lot of changes, and we hear the criticism from users, and we want to certainly improve our technology and services.
Promoting the internet economy has become the centerpiece of an internet conference that was held in Beijing this June. How has the industry integration with the internet contributed to the Chinese economy? For example, the creation of jobs. This year, by the summer, there will be millions of university graduates. And the non-public sector of the Chinese economy has done perhaps up to 70 to 80% for job creation in this country. Are you confident that the Baidu, along with other major partners such as BAT, will play a very important role in assisting the government to absorb such a big labor surplus?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at the last few years, right, the service, internet, have been highlights of the overall economy. And we also hire a lot of people, not only Baidu, but also the BATs and the internet.
What's the size of your labor force at Baidu?
Yeah, Baidu has over 50,000 people. And we continue to hire in the next few months. Lots of those are fresh students. And also, a lot of companies work with us. They are our developers, they list their merchandise or their service in Baidu's platform. So those companies will continue to expand. So overall, we do see a lot of opportunities in this space. And having said that, obviously there will be some uncertainty, some slowdown on the overall economy. I mean, we already feel the pressure. And Baidu will work with those companies and the government to improve the overall productivity.
People around the world marvel at the size or alliance of BAT. Therefore, the question is whether small, medium-sized enterprises with or in the IT industry could survive your pressure, which is huge, huge.
I don't agree. It's if you look at 10 years ago, people, or even earlier, when there was Sina, Sohu, NetEase, people telling me, wow, all those portals, they essentially take over the media industry, and they took all the ads. There's no more innovation. Then there was BAT came to Frontline, and people are telling me, wow, there's BAT, so there no more companies because all the companies either invested or bought or just couldn't survive by themselves. That is not true. We actually seeing a lot of new companies coming out in the last few years. You have Meituan, Xiaomi, and Didi, and also lots of unicorns. Right? That is more dynamic than ever. So I think this whole internet economy is just beginning. We're going to a new wave. We talk about Internet Plus. We talk about all the new opportunities driven by the advance of artificial intelligence, robotics, and that's going to be very profound. I'm an optimist by nature.
When Premier Li Keqiang calls for having massive entrepreneurship in the startup companies in the spirit of innovation to further sustain the Chinese economic growth, to what degree do you think you yourself are personally supportive of this idea? Because public opinions are seriously divided over whether the advocacy for massive entrepreneurship should make any sense in China. Because university students without any practical experiences in startup companies are most likely to fail. But in the Silicon Valley, in the United States, the setbacks and the failures are viewed as assets of one's success. What do you think of the philosophical interpretation of failure and success for those who are ambitious enough to be yet another Jack Ma?
Well, it's great that there are Chinese versions of Bill Gates, right? Jack Ma or Robin Li or Pony Ma. Those are national icons, but also, they're also international icons. It's great. We like to see more of that. Going back to the massive entrepreneurship and innovation, I'm a big fan of it. I think we need more innovation. We need more entrepreneurship, as a country. And I think the whole direction and the strategy are great. However, there are issues that I believe innovation is the base for all the entrepreneurship. Innovation could be technology, could be business model, could be anything. But to start a company for the sake of starting a company is wrong, and it's not sustainable if you don't have any competitive advantage or any innovation. So a student just out of college, and just using the passion and follow the trend to start a company, without real world experience or value proposition is dangerous. Indeed, failure or success are relative. Sometimes you fail, that's okay. If you learn, that becomes the foundation for success. But just a random, taking random, uncalculated risk is not a great idea. Right? So I'm supportive, but just do it seriously.
You are watching our program with Mr. Zhang Yaqin, president of Baidu, the biggest search engine in China. We'll be back in a short while. Stay with us. Welcome back, sir. In our talk during last year's World Forum for Asia, you said the challenge Baidu is facing might be a failure to concentrate. However, it seems there is a trend for an internet company to have services in various fields. For example, Baidu has also developed an online payment service, and users can use Alipay for online chatting as well. So how do you view this phenomenon? What kind of a company is more competitive today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, certainly, when we talked last year, there were a lot more projects, products than we are having now. So we actually scale back a lot of our investments, a lot of projects. It is just there are so many opportunities. It is hard to say no, and we have to be focused. So having said that, there are a few big bets we have to make. Some of those might not be successful. So finance is a big betting bet for us. We want to make sure we provide the service for users in terms of payment, in terms of consumer loans, in terms of just managing the assets. We do have some advantages because we have a vast amount of data from search, from locations, and from the online consumption. Those data can be combined with the data that coming, the credits from the Bank of China or traditional financial service industry. If you look at the financial industry, it's all about risk control, better understanding of users, and also better use of technologies. And our machine learning technology, data analytics tool, and a vast amount of data are a huge advantage for us getting into this area. The other areas we do choose, one of the big bets is autonomous driving. Right? That obviously going to take years to become massive and in scale.
Excuse me, but do you think the Chinese market is ready to accept the autonomous driving, for example, traffic regulations and the awareness of the consumers?
Right. Well, it will take some time, but I think first of all, autonomous driving is beneficial for the society. It's much safer. It will avoid accidents. So cars, autonomous drivers, the softwares, they're always awake. They're always alert. So overall, I think it's a hugely beneficial for the society in terms of safety. It also improved the efficiency of the cars, and also make sure society is running more efficiently in terms of the transportation and architecture. So that is a huge benefit. Technology-wise, I think we're doing all the tests, the road tests, collecting data, and making the cars more feasible, more economic. So it will take some time, but directionally, right? And I think one day we will see it be applied to the major cities, and also to some special purpose or special zones. But if that happens, first I think China is probably a great bet.
We have a lion's share of the market, of course. Earlier this year, Mr. Zhang, the Google developed AlphaGo's victory over a world champion player of the ancient strategy game Go has drawn public attention to this new wave of technology. Artificial intelligence, for example, becomes headlines these days. Many analysts consider 2016 a breakthrough year for artificial intelligence. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing, what AlphaGo, DeepMind, has done. It's certainly a milestone.
Are you suggesting that mankind will become the underdog in the dogfight?
That's not true. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this itself, right? That machine, right, beats human being in the most complex game of human being ever invented, that is a huge accomplishment. It's a great milestone. And I applaud and have a lot of respect for the researchers and the scientists from DeepMind and Google. So, having said that, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning have been around for a long time. AI actually went back to some 60 years ago, and so there's a lot of advance has been made over the years. And this year is certainly becoming more aware. People become more aware because of AlphaGo. Baidu, we actually started the machine learning laboratory, AI lab, back in 2013. We have some of the best scientists and researchers in the world, whether in Beijing or in Silicon Valley. And we obviously using those technologies, right, to make voice recognition better, our machine translation more accurate, picture and face recognition more accurate, and also we apply those to daily online, offline applications. Even in the takeaway, for the takeaway, there's machine learning technologies behind to make sure that the supply chain becomes more efficient. So overall, the AI, machine learning, those are a key driver, enabler for many of the new industries. And whether it's consumption, day-to-day consumption, or it's to some more complex applications like autonomous driving.
For each piece of invention and creation, I believe there will be some moral hazards and legal risks. For example, do you think new legislation should be introduced to ensure that artificial intelligence will not become something that goes wrong? What do you think of the risks that may come along?
Yeah, indeed. When there is technology breakthroughs or innovation, you need new standards so people and products can interoperate. You need new legislation that whether it's copyright or new policies that actually enable the technologies to be applied in a massive way. There are also some concerns, whether it's ethical or it's something that is uncommon or something that's different from the common moral standard. So look at artificial intelligence. There are a lot of people concerned. Well, maybe one day, or maybe in the next 20 years, a machine will take over human being and will be smarter than human being, more intelligent than human being. And I think it's probably a little bit over, too much worry about this. There should not be panic. If you look at the technologies we're working on, looking at the algorithm, the past, it will now result in a more intelligent machine than human being, or the level of intelligence is different, or the nature is different. People also worry about the self-awareness of the machine, that we're losing control of it, take away human being. I think we're, it's like worry about overpopulation of Mars. And of course, we need to be cautious. We need to be vigilant in terms of what AI can do, making sure it does the things we design for. There are security issues, there are privacy concerns, there are policy, regulatory things that we need to come up with that. So overall, it's exciting, but it does have issues, have challenges, and it has a complexity that we need to just resolve.
The last question is very much about yourself, a competitive edge for Baidu, because you were trained as a computer-savvy, brilliant guy of digital technology, considering your background. To what degree do you think the service industry, which should account for about 80% of the GDP, will be assisted and will be blessed by digital technology, by those giants and tycoons in the IT industry, because we are still assessing the resilience and the dynamics of the Chinese economy in the new normal state.
Yeah, well, certainly digital technology and this whole internet plus or revolution are helping, one of the driving forces to transform the traditional industry. But the traditional industry also need to evolve, innovate. Internet is only a tool, right? And I don't think internet is going to disrupt many of this traditional industry. In fact, the traditional industry itself need to find a new value. Just use our data, our technology as a way to make them more competitive. I often say, when you go to a restaurant, no matter how internet they are, some restaurants say, well, we are internet restaurants. It's irrelevant if the foods are bad, if the environment is bad, people will probably not go there. So overall, you have to have your own value proposition, and then internet is a plus. It helps. It's making sure you have the right type of message. You have the right type of supply chain. It makes the whole thing more efficient and more visible. But if the value you provide is not there, internet is not going to help.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.